Scrolling, and wait a minute, what's this? Let's click that.
Well, in this video, we're unboxing some interesting anoles. Now, this is Anolis barshades. He's a male. He's actually adult. Really interesting anole with a really unique.
So if anyone remembers that video, I talked about how I basically got a bunch of anoles, one of them being Anolis barshades, or the Cuban cliff anole. Now this anole was pretty interesting. Now I may have hinted at in that little video that I had a female, and basically this is the video confirming that and, well, talking about them as a whole and the project. Let's do that now.
Think of that little edit, I kind of wanted to make it feel like a fever dream. You really got yourself a talking head with the South Park reference, I guess, with the Anyways, let's do this now.
So this is the female Anolis barshades, or Cuban cliff anole, in question. As you see, they have a lot more yellow than anticipated. Now let's get a little one-on-one with her. Now for context, this is the fired down version of the female. Look at that yellow tail, you see that dark blue feet, etc, etc. As you're seeing, the female barshades, when fired up, have a lot more yellow and orange on them. And on top of that, these very rich creams, and if you look at their eyes, they have blue eyeliner along some blue feet.
Now the lady is cool and all, but, we have a male to talk about, so let's do that.
Male barshades have a yellow tail at the start that turns blue, fades in these blue-white spots, and then you have those blue feet. Really nice, really interesting. But most of their body is in fact kind of a gray, more translucent color. Pretty weird, interesting, but they also still have that blue eyeliner just like the females. These guys are probably more prettier than the females in my opinion, but it's either or and honestly depends on the day.
So something else I find extremely interesting about barshades, but sadly is not something easily pickable on camera, is the fact that they have somewhat of a translucent skin, especially around the feet and the tail, where I think the skin is mostly blue, and a bit on their bellies, which is really unique and really interesting. Something I always was like, weird. Yeah. So, there's a lot of cool things y'all are hopefully learning just from that little bit before, but what I really want to talk about now is the fact that I've had these guys for a month or two now, I believe, and the female is just around the age of breeding when I got her, so only as time goes she's going to get more mature and actually be able to breed on a better basis. She can breed now, but she probably will not, to be completely honest. But the whole point of this video is I want to introduce this species to y'all and go look for some eggs and do a small enclosure remodel. But before we do a remodel, there's something you should know, that, well, they had an enclosure already made, and let's go over how that looked, how did it work, and just, a couple things in it, because I did do a little small build for it, and I don't know if I still have the clips of all the boom 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 and all that stuff, but I do know for a fact I have the clips of me putting the animals in the enclosure. Now, only editing Cameron will know if I have all the do, and then we'll go forward from there. Let's go.
I did, in fact, not have the clips of me building. But as you're seeing, there is a small side view of the enclosure, and then we're gonna move to the front view. As you see, there's two bowls in there, some sticks going all the way in the back, larger sticks and a bunch of smaller sticks to hang around, with a somewhat deeper soil and a bunch of moss on top to trap the humidity below. Now, as I promised, I'm gonna put the female in there with the clip. Pretty cool little way she got in there. She jumped and then leaped over there and made a picture perfect pose. Now the male, he started to freak out a little bit, thrashing until I let him calm down a bit, and then he went into the enclosure and chilled out. Now there's a couple things I learned while keeping them in this setup. Let's talk about it.
The thing is with anoles is that there is not a lot of information just publicly out here wide in the open, ready to go, easy, delectable information, versus the crested gecko, where I can find out 52 different ways that the crested gecko licked its eyeball left versus the right. Crazy. But with anoles, you're not going to find that information so easily or very much at all. You get through a lot of information by asking a couple people who don't speak the same language as you typically, or you're going to have to do some studying on a nice research line, or you find someone like me who keeps them and will talk to you when you ask questions. But all that aside, there's always going to be something that's a little hard to get down, which is behavior. Because behavior is interesting, and then most of the information doesn't ever go over behavior a lot when it comes to these logs set very basic notes, like the anole is happy. You're not going to get a very in-depth guide to that, etc., etc. And the Germans are typically not going to be your guys who have a super warm or a doobie roach on tongue and have the lizard crawl out on their arm like what I can do with the Lutoglaris over here. So, I like to look at the consideration of other gnolls from similar environments when it comes to trying to get a fun idea of behavior before they get here. Now, looking at the other two Western human gnolls, being Lutoglaris and the false chameleons below them, is that, well, they're pretty bold. I look at the, Cuban cliffs down here, the Anolis barshades, I'm like, can we do here? Then, getting them and studying them and watching them, doing everything they do, I've learned a lot from them. Simply off the factor that these little Anols are extremely social with each other. Now, as you know, many Anols have dewlaps. These guys do not have one on classification or are considered to have a dewlap, but they have a small structure of bone that sticks out that allows them to puff up their neck and stick out basically a dewlap. I don't know what else we'd call it besides a dewlap, but it ain't long and extended like other Anols. It's very small, as you're seeing. But they'll use that to communicate with each other a lot more than I've seen with any other Maya Anols, besides the Valensi, which is a completely different story. So that's something really interesting. But on top of that, this Anole always seems to be doing something together. They're very much in tune with each other and always bonding. They're hunting, or they're drinking, or they're breeding together. They're doing Anole stuff together, which is very lovely. Now, behavior-wise towards me, it's very interesting. These guys seem to tolerate my existence somewhat well. Granted, I've only had them a month or two versus the years of working with false chameleons and half a year with the Lutes, something like that now. So behavior-wise, I'm not an expert on them yet, but I can tell you this. They tolerate me pretty well, and they seem to be interested in food on tongues. I haven't done it yet, but only time will tell. Maybe our next video on them will have more information on behavior. Let's go talk about something else now.
So as you see right here, this is our current enclosure before we rip everything out and, well, redo it.
Before we can rip anything out though, the first thing set to come out is the animals, our barshades. This is our female, gorgeous little bugger. Now here's the male. They always look so pretty in these clips when I don't have everything ready to take good videos of them. Now this is the barshades enclosure, but missing all the enclosure stuff, being sticks, foliage to make the proper environment. But these two things right here below, one is a plastic container of sorts, and another is a cork hollow log. Basically what I'm doing is deciding where I'm gonna put them and which one will I use as the lay box, because barshades is known to lay their eggs kind of up top and kind of wedged in the things. There's a couple locations in the old one, but I don't think she took any of them, and low-key they were not going to be easy for me to get to on a consistent basis, so they're getting the Valensi treatment. So after thinking, I picked the plastic one because it's easier to drill into and has a wider entrance point for my hand, because I could not really get my hand for the cork hollow, and then I'm also going to use it to drill a hole inside, put a plant in the corner as you just saw, and then all the fun stuff. We moved the plant into the lay box since there's already going to be a lot of water in there to keep the eggs nice and humid. That's going to grow some new things. Then we're going to add in another stick. Well, not another, one of the originals. Then we're going to add in some more sticks, kind of make a cluster of sticks, so that makes sense. Keep it going, keep adding more, and just really fill that space up so the animals have everywhere to hide behind, climb on, and do whatever they feel like they want to do on these sticks. And you just keep adding them. You just don't stop. Now, no enclosure is truly done without the habitants being put back in it. Let's get a quick look at this beautiful girl. Then we're going to let her go in, and then she's going to dart off into the back corner. Now, the male, he's just more so done with all this, so once he gets on a nice branch, he's just going to chill. Yeah. He's a chill guy, guys. But he's a chill kind of lizard, you know what I'm saying? Now, to many of y'all, Anolis barshades is I know you've never heard of, and this is probably your first actual interaction with the species. So, what did I do? I hope I sat here and I taught a lot of people about this lovely little Anole from Cuba, and makes you ask a bunch of questions, want to inspect what I'm doing, want to maybe see when I get hatchlings, maybe subscribe to see where this goes. Because as you know, with every Anole I work with over here, at least if I feel like going with videos, sometimes I just forget them. Like them, I've had them for months, but I've been so focused on the Valensi and just other life stuff that's kind of slipped my mind to film their video till now. But yeah, let me know what you thought I did. Did I teach you something? Hopefully I did. If you're watching this, I know you at least learned one thing, and if I did, let me know what it was in the comments. I'm actually interested. Let's chit chat, start a conversation. And like I was mentioning earlier, sub, because what's gonna happen here is that this video is an introduction. Eventually you're gonna see a care guide. Eventually you're gonna see a hatchling video or an egg video, whichever comes first. Either I'm gonna find a baby in there, or I'm gonna find egg. Who knows? Maybe I might start making the egg videos and the hatchling videos together. Once all that's out, maybe you'll start seeing videos of me raising the babies, feeding the babies, because I did make a feeding video, and I'm itching to do another again, especially with these Lutos. Maybe make one that's more primarily focused on all my crown giants over here. Let me know, what do you want to see for content as well? So, all the fun stuff, hope you learned something, and these are one of my favorite anoles, and I hope they're one of your favorites too now. Into the video.